Your posture is killing your mental health. Comfy noodle. Comfy noodle here. Posture. If there was one underrated thing that you can do to help you improve your mental health on your own, then that would be fixing your posture and addressing your muscle tightness. Muscle tightness and posture are impacting your mental health in a negative way, such as increasing your chance of developing depression and making you more tired. This is crazy because almost nobody talks about the correlation between muscle tightness and posture on our mental health. When we think about it, more and more people are having a bad posture. Our world is promoting so many behaviors that have a negative impact on our posture. We are having more incentives than ever to partake in these behaviors that are killing our posture. This can be working in a desk job where we sit for hours on end, binging Netflix on the couch, spending hours in front of a computer playing games, and the absolute worst is using our phones in our beds. And depending from where you watch this video and when you watch this video, you might still be in quarantine. If you are like me, you might have been stuck at home spending a bit too much time sitting. We are participating in the worst possible routine for our posture, and this is why it is so important to have a look at our bodies, and more specifically, if we have any muscle tightness or an improper posture. For the sake of this video, I'll be focusing on the term posture because having muscle tightness usually results in also having an improper posture, so I might as well use a more general term to make it feel less redundant. So this is how the video is going to work. I will separate this video in three main parts. The first part is going to talk about how does having a bad posture affect your mental health? The second part is going to cover why is fixing your posture so beneficial, beside of course of having a good posture and fixing the problems that comes with it. And the third part is going to cover how to effectively fix your posture and what to avoid. So if this sounds interesting, let's slurp right into the video. Now, this part is going to cover how having a bad posture can affect your mental health. Before we start this part of the video, I want you guys to imagine a wounded beast that has something stuck on its body, like this one, right here on the screen. Now, let's think about what is going on here. The beast is wounded and a foreign object is stuck on its body. And you guys have probably already seen this popular cliche in a movie, in stories, in book, and in anime. When the beast is wounded with an unwanted object, what happens? They easily get angry, they lose their patience easily, they are constantly irritated, they are dizzy, they feel pain, they feel discomfort, they feel their movements are being restricted, they have a hard time breathing, they can never fully rest, and so much more. This all happens at the same times, non-stop. If we were to compare this to having a bad posture, when you're having a bad posture, you're constantly feeling pain and muscle tightness from a problem that shouldn't be happening in the first place. A wounded beast shouldn't be having a knife in its body when it's not supposed to. Such as humans, we aren't supposed to be spending so much time sitting all day, which result in postural issues, which force our body to work in an unnatural way. So how does having a bad posture influence our mental state? When we think about having a bad posture, we usually think about the negative physical consequences and not the mental ones. This is absolutely normal, since posture is more of a physical thing than a mental thing. But the thing is that when we have a bad posture, when we messed up our posture, the physical consequences will translate into mental changes. And usually, the mental changes that come from having a bad posture are changes that most people would prefer to not have. This is why it is so important to understand how does having a bad posture influence our mental state, because most of the people that have a bad posture are aware that our posture is not ideal. Despite knowing this, we are not actively working to fix it. This is because we are not aware of the consequences of having a bad posture, except for the fact that it is uncomfortable and that it is not aesthetically pleasing. Most of us just want to ignore the fact that we have a bad posture. I'm not saying if you can sit straight or not, and I am not just talking about if we were to lean forward when we are sitting or walking. Yes, these are signs of having a bad posture, but there are a lot of issues in our body that are hidden and that we can't see in front of a mirror. If you sit for a very long period of time, or you use your phone a lot in your bed, there's an extremely high chance that you're killing your posture without knowing it. This means that if you're not actively working on fixing your posture, then you will probably have a bad posture. There are so many small signs that you would never know if you weren't analyzing yourself properly. And one of the main reasons that you may not know that you have a bad posture comes from the fact that your body is just normalizing the effect of it. Since you did not find a way to fix your posture while feeling some kind of tension, your body doesn't want to waste energy always reminding you of the improper posture. Therefore, it simply tried to ignore some of the issues. Now that I'm done having an introduction of the negative effect of having a bad posture, I can finally explain how these physical inconveniences are affecting your mental health. The negative influence that having a bad posture on your mental health comes in a package. We can't really single out one of these issues without mentioning the others, and this is the reason that each issue complements each other. Look, I can't explain all of the synergies that each issue has on one of each other, but I will cover a lot of them. Enough that you will understand how this works. The first thing I'm going to talk about is related to pain and muscle tightness. Both of these two usually comes together. The fact that you're constantly feeling some kind of pain or muscle tightness on your traps, on your lower back, your glutes, anywhere on your body for that matter, can influence your mind. This is because pain and muscle tightness are extremely frustrating and uncomfortable for your body. This would not be a problem if it were to be a one-time thing, but since these issues persist 24/7, the discomfort and annoyance start to accumulate, and it starts to influence your mind to be more impulsive. Since there's a reason to be frustrated, you also feel more frustrated. There are two main ways to alleviate this feeling of frustration. The first one is to get rid of the cause of the frustration, such as fixing your posture, and the second one is to expel it. And more often than not, it's easier to use the second method. This usually comes in the form of lashing out your frustration, and this means that you're more prone to anger and being irritated, therefore making you less patient. This means that you're constantly using energy to calm yourself down. But since our energy level is limited, once we deplete our energy, we become more naturally impulsive in our emotions. The second problem is that you always feel restricted in both sense, physically and mentally. You cannot move as you want to, such as you always feel uncomfortable whenever you walk because you have a hard time walking straight, or that you feel like you can't activate some part of your bodies, such as certain muscles, or that you always feel some kind of lower back pain whenever you start walking, therefore making you think twice every time you want to walk. Since you cannot move as skinny as you want because of the pain, you start feeling restricted. And what happens when you feel like you're being restricted? You feel annoyance, anger, frustration, lack of control, and so much more. And let's focus a bit more in the part that's related to lack of control. This is crazy because if you feel like you're lacking control of your body, this can start affecting your mind, where you start to feel like you're lacking control of your mind, therefore impacting how you perceive you can control your life. And when you feel like you cannot control your mind or your life, it can lead to so many more inconvenient things, such as losing confidence in yourself, being more prone to anger, and being frustrated. And when you have these emotions, it can snowball into more mental inconvenience, therefore creating an internal cycle of negative behaviors and emotions. The third problem is that eventually your brain will try to learn to ignore these bad symptoms as if they didn't exist. It is doing so that you don't constantly shift your attention to your postural issues. But the problem is that the postural problems are still existent in your body. They did not disappear just because your mind is ignoring them. They are still there. Your brain is merely suppressing the pain and the feeling of muscle tightness. It doesn't do it only for a few hours. If you do not fix your postural issues, it is going to try to suppress it for the longest time possible. And you know what happens when you try to suppress this? Suppressing pain can take a lot of energy. Since your mind is always trying to suppress the pain, it is constantly wasting energy. And this can make you tired and always feeling unenergetic. But your brain is not just suppressing the pain and the discomfort. It is also trying to suppress the other symptoms of pain and discomfort, such as the frustration of feeling the pain. So therefore, you're wasting even more energy. And not only that, you're also using muscles that you're not supposed to use while having a bad posture, therefore forcing some muscles to be more active than it is supposed to be, which in turn also makes you waste more energy than you're supposed to be using. And when you're always tired, this can lead to multiple other issues, such as having a lower self-esteem, feeling restricted, being unmotivated, feeling sadness, and feeling depressed. The fourth issue is that it can impact your quality of sleep, This goes into the last point of our body when ignoring the symptoms of having a bad posture. To put it simply, even when we are sleeping, our mind tries to ignore the symptoms to not wake us up. And since it is trying to ignore this pain, the quality of our sleep simply goes down. Because of this, it makes us need to sleep more to feel refreshed. But the thing is, if you had a bad posture, you're also likely going to be sleeping in a bad position, therefore worsening your posture. So this means that you're in an internal cycle of your mental health deteriorating more and more. The fifth mental problem of having a bad posture is that it can create brain fog. As mentioned before, having a bad posture can make you waste more energy than you're supposed to. While constantly wasting energy and making your body having a harder time to recover, you can easily feel like your brain is being fogged. This can make it harder for you to focus and feel like you're having a clear mind. You have a harder time thinking clearly, and it feels like all of your thoughts are being blocked. This is basically limiting your thinking potential, since you are not thinking as effectively as you would like to. This can link back to the issue of feeling like you're being restricted, and that you're losing your sense of control, which can also affect your motivation and your self-esteem again. Because if you feel like you can't think, you're going to start to lose confidence in yourself, which again can lead to more potential problems such as depression. The sixth problem of having a bad posture is that it can make it harder for you to focus. Of course, this is related to the earlier symptom of having brain fog, but even if you don't feel like you're having a brain fog because your bad posture hasn't reached a level where it's going to drain you out, there are still some other smaller problems, because simply feeling some pain and muscle tightness can make your mind shift from whatever you're doing to alerting you that your posture is not optimal, since it is always constantly trying to remind you to fix it. And if you feel like you cannot focus, this also snowballs into other issues again, such as even more frustration. And frustration is gonna drain you mentally, maybe not as noticeable as having brain fog, but you're still gonna be wasting more energy than you're supposed to. Now that I mentioned some of the main symptoms of having a bad posture, it is important to remember that these symptoms synergize with each other. This means that you can't just have one symptom and call it a day. No, if you have one of them, others are going to follow. It may be in a rotation, such as let's say every time you have enough energy, you'll show symptoms of frustration. And when you become too tired from being drained out, you're gonna switch to having brain fog to conserve your energy. This means that every time you have enough energy, you will waste it in an unnatural rate, and after then, your mind will slow down to recover slowly. And you may be stuck in this rotation, or you may have just a part of the symptoms that are more consistent, such as just simply having brain fog for a very long time. Either way, in any cases, all of these symptoms can promote some mental disorder, such as depression, bipolar, and ADHD, and so much more. For depression, this is related to being always constantly tired, feeling like you're losing control of yourself, having brain fog, and having a hard time to focus. These symptoms can increase your likelihood of developing depression and maintaining it. These symptoms of depression can create other symptoms of depression, such as losing interest in activity that you usually enjoy. If you're always feeling tired, without ever being able to recover, your mind doesn't have time to be having fun since it's trying to focus on one thing to recover. Or if you cannot focus, it is natural to start losing interest in stuff that you used to enjoy, since you cannot be absorbed as much as you want it to be. And as stated before, the physical and psychological symptoms of having a bad posture last 24 hours. Therefore, you never have the chance to actually have a complete recovery. So being tired and not wanting to do anything is a natural response from having a bad posture, and it can also promote the risk of the desire of self-harm. This is because if you're always feeling tired, lacking motivation, and feeling the lack of control without ever knowing why, and the fact that you do not know why you're feeling this way, because it's going to increase the chance of thinking that you are the problem. If the problem is unknown, then it is normal to not know what to do. It is normal to feel depressed and you feel overwhelmed from a hidden problem. Another mental disorder that can come from having a bad posture is being bipolar. For those that don't know, being bipolar doesn't mean being indecisive like most people believe. Bipolar is a medical condition that is usually referred to people that have extreme mood swings. This means that a bipolar person can have depressive phase and manic phases. and are rarely in betweens. Being manic pretty much means that you have an extreme amount of energy that almost feel uncontrollable. So how does having a bad posture relate to being bipolar? Well, it is actually quite complicated, but to put it simply, whenever your body finds a way to properly recover itself, it is aware that it's going to revert back to a depressive state soon because it knows that it's going to waste all of its energy on useless things. Therefore, it tries to use the most energy possible to make you feel good. So basically, your mind uses everything up the fastest possible before it hits a depressive phase. This can be linked as a survival mechanism so that you won't always feel depressed and that you remember that you can have happy phases, and to make you cope up with the depressive phase, which result in a mismanagement of energy usage. This is a very incomplete answer and I don't want to make this video too long, so I will leave the answer as such. So now, let's talk about ADHD. The reasoning behind this is quite actually simple to understand. Let's first look at what is ADHD. It basically refers to a mental disorder that causes above level of hyperactivity and impulsive behaviors in certain individuals. Impulsivity and hyperactivity can be related from the frustration of having a bad posture. Pretty simple, right? You feel frustrated and you need a quick release, therefore you become impulsive and hyperactive. And as already explained before, having a bad posture can make it harder for a person to be focused. Now, let's talk about the benefits of fixing your posture. Other than fixing your posture can fix the symptoms of having a bad posture. The first one is that from a behavior standpoint, fixing your posture is actually very easy for a lot of reasons. For starters, doing any exercise that promotes good posture feels great while you are doing it and after you are doing it. Therefore, the simple fact that it feels so good will increase your chance of reproducing the behaviors that are going to lead you to have a good posture. It is also very fast to feel and see the results. No matter how confident you are about something working or not, if you cannot see the result or feel it, it can potentially unmotivate you in the long term. But when working on fixing your posture, you can instantly feel and see some kind of result as fast as right after an exercise. Of course, your posture is not going to be perfect after one corrective exercise, and depending on the severity of your bad posture, it can take months to fix it or even years. But the simple fact that you can feel and see some kind of visible result in under 1 week for a lot of cases will motivate you to continue doing these corrective exercises. Hey, if you have made it this far into the video, this probably means that you enjoyed what you were seeing right now. So don't forget to sub, give a like, and break that bell icon. The second benefit is that there is little to no barrier of entry for you to start fixing your posture. A lot of corrective exercise can be found on the internet. You can work on your posture almost anywhere. It barely requires any equipment, and you can do it mostly on your own. This means that as long as you have learned the correct exercise and you do it as it is meant to be done, you cannot mess it up. If we were to compare this to other things that are related to helping your mental health on your own, such as meditating, which can be quite challenging to beginners, and the short-term benefits aren't as enticing, and the difficulty to feel an immediate effect that is noticeable enough to make you want to continue doing it can unmotivate a lot of people. But the fact that fixing your posture can have quick results, can feel really good, and that is easy to learn and start from a behavioral standpoint, there's a higher chance that you're gonna be able to work on your posture for a long period of time. And now I'm gonna talk about the last benefit of fixing your posture in this video. When you fix your posture, you start to develop this sense of having a control in your life. This comes from the fact that you're finally able to fix a problem that you have. You have a goal and you're actively working on it. You see results, and this gives you confidence in your ability to control your life. And this sense of control can benefit you in many ways, such as having the confidence and faith that you have the capability to change other aspects of your life, since you can see and feel the positive effect of your actions, and feeling like you have a direction to strive for, since you're working on a goal that you're trying to achieve. Therefore, this feeling of control is going to help you be more consistent in wanting to fix your posture. Now that we know what are the issues with having a bad posture and the benefits of fixing your posture, On a consistency level, let's talk about how to fix your posture and how to properly do it, and what not to do. Choosing the correct exercises can be tricky if you do not know where to look for. Luckily for us, there is an abundant amount of information on the internet that can help you find the correct exercise for your specific and proper postural condition that will work for you. But since there is a lot of information that can be found on the internet, there are also a lot of misinformation. Some of these misinformation are either ineffective or can actually make your posture even worse. This is why it is important to choose your source of information wisely. And from what I have seen, the person with the most consistent good information for fixing your posture in the internet is from a YouTuber known as Athlean. He has a great library of information on how to fix your posture. From stretching the correct tight muscles to strengthening the muscles that are weak in your body that are needed for a proper posture. He also gives a lot of good information on what to do and what not to do according to certain situations. For example, for some people, stretching their hip flexors can help improve their posture, but for others, it can worsen it. He makes a lot of video on how to verify what are the issues in your body that is causing you to have a bad posture, and what are the proper exercises that are needed to be focused according to your specific postural issues. Compared to other YouTubers or sources on the internet that will tell you what to do without considering this context. Now that you know where to find the information, we need to learn how to be consistent. Despite having multiple incentives that help you to be more consistent on helping you to continue to fix your posture, it may not always be enough. Therefore, I will offer you guys some tips on how to be consistent on your journey to fixing your posture. The first one is having a routine. It is simple, right? You do your exercise around the same time every day, such as every morning and every night. Creating a consistent routine can be very helpful for a lot of people, but for some others, not so much, especially for people that have a hard time following our routines in their life. Or for some other people, once they miss one workout session, they stop doing it completely. There are multiple reasons for a person to stop committing to their goals simply from missing out one workout, such as people that are too obsessed with having a perfect routine. They feel like they are not being optimal, and this obsession of wanting to be the most optimal possible makes them not want to do anything that is less. So if you guys have a hard time creating a routine, then worry not. I still have some other tips that can help you to be more consistent. I need to add this first. If you randomly feel like doing the workout, just do it. You do not need to limit yourself to your routine, and you do not need to push yourself too much when you're starting out. Simple fact that you're doing it, you're normalizing working out, which makes it easier to be more consistent. So even if you were to do one exercise out of 3, it is better than doing nothing, because you're setting yourself to be more comfortable working out and doing the exercises. So by normalizing working out, you will feel less resistance to start working out, and you can simply add more exercises as you go on. The next method that you can use to be more consistent is using an alarm. Basically, you set up an alarm to go off every 30 minutes or an hour. This is great if you're planning to only do one exercise or rotate between a few, and if each exercise are very short. But the minuses of this method is that it can break your focus while you're working or studying. Sometimes you do not have the luxury to step aside every half an hour or so to perform some corrective exercises. Or even sometimes you randomly remove your alarm and forget to put it back up. So I would recommend to use this technique if you're planning to binge a series, working at home, or whatever activities that you can afford to be stepping out every now and then. The next tip would be to use classical conditioning as a way to make you remember to do the exercise. Classical conditioning is basically when your brain is associating something with something else. For example, a lot of people associate League of Legends with feeling toxic from prior toxic experience in playing this game. So how can you use classical conditioning to help you be more consistent with doing some corrective exercises? What I like to do is listen to YouTube videos while doing exercises. I deliberately do not watch some of my favorite content creators without exercising. Therefore, every time that they post a new video, I will try to listen while working out. This makes it that my brain is associating with working out to watching those YouTubers. This works best with YouTubers that post daily and makes entertaining and informative videos. This is because if the video is too informative, you would be too focused on listening to the video instead of focusing on your exercise, while if it is too entertaining, you will also be too focused on the video itself. By having a mixture of both, it becomes a great source of background noise when you are doing your corrective exercises. If you can find a YouTuber that fits your taste that posts daily, they can basically become a daily reminder for you to do the corrective exercise. And since they post daily, the videos doesn't usually last too long and would last around the same time as your corrective exercise session, which would be around 5 to 10 minutes. Some YouTubers that I can recommend would be Greg Doucette and More Plates for More Dates if you like fitness. If you like MMA, you can watch Dempsey Dewey. If you like money, you can watch Steph Graham, Minority Mindset, and Meet Kevin. If you're interested in rap and hip hop, you can watch Blackie Speaks and Hello Yasin. And the best genre of topics to listen to, of course, that would be One Piece. For example, you can watch the Grand Line Review or any other One Piece YouTuber, because you already know One Piece is life. Now that you guys have some tips and methods on how to be more consistent, it is time to talk about what can break your consistency. The first one is that after a while, the corrective exercise won't feel as good as when you just started out. This is not to say that the workout isn't working. On the contrary, this is because when your posture is actually getting closer to being fixed, the ratio of improvement decreases a lot, and since the pain and the tension are being less present than it used to be, you have less things to feel relief from compared from when you just started out. So it can become less motivating for you to continue doing the work. If you do not continue, you can potentially relapse and re-break your posture. The second thing that can make you stop doing the exercises is that you're relying too much on the exercises. This means that you're telling yourself that since you're doing workouts to fix your posture, you can allow yourself to lean when you sit, to sleep with a weird shape, to not use proper form when you do other exercises such as deadlifting, or even worse, when you're having sex with improper posture. Like, who even have sex with improper posture? Whatever position you are in, keep your back safe and both of your glutes equally activated, whether you're in the front, the back, or on the top, because these bad behaviors are going to kill your posture. Because if you're breaking it faster than you're fixing it, then you won't be able to progress, and that is going to discourage you to continue to fix your posture. Now, the last tip to not break the consistency of your workout is to not do too many different exercises at the start. I know we're all excited to finally find a potential way to fix our problems such as fixing our posture and our mental health. But if you start off with too many different exercises, what's going to happen is that you're going to be overwhelmed. Some of these exercises require attention to detail or else it won't work. So if you were to try to do 20 different new exercises, you're probably going to mess up 6 of them and not doing them as they're supposed to be done. The other 4 are going to be properly done half of the time and the other half not so good. And the last 10 you're simply going to forget to do them. And by having too much information, you're going to be rewatching all of the videos on multiple occasions. And since you're rewatching the video so many times, you're going to get bored of it and you're going to start to skip some details here and there. And you're going to be confused and overwhelmed by the number of exercises that you need to do. You are going to be unmotivated from the simple fact that you do not know what's working or what's not anymore. Therefore, do it slowly. Go do a few exercises that will help your posture and slowly add some of them with time according to how your body changes. Now, to finish this video, what did we learn? We learned about the consequence that having a bad posture can have on our mental health, such as making us more frustrated, tired, and having brain fog. This can lead to having symptoms that resemble certain medical disorders such as depression, bipolar, and ADHD. We also learned that fixing your posture is inherently easy because the action of doing it creates more incentives of doing so, such as making us feel good, gaining a sense of control, and the visible speed of our progression. We also learned where to find the resources to learn how to fix our posture from watching Athlean Aches. We got tips that can help us be more consistent and potential things that we need to be careful of to keep being consistent. With everything being added together, fixing our posture should be in our top priority list of things to do if we want to improve our mental health on our own. Simply because on how easy it can be done and easy to maintain compared to other things such as meditating, which can be hard to be consistent with. It is also important to note that people in our society in general are having more and more postural issues because of the incentives of behavior that are coincidentally bad for our posture. Therefore, knowing the potential health benefits of having a good posture and actively maintaining it can be helpful for a lot of people. Remember, I'm just a comfy noodle that likes to eat noodles because noodles are tasty and amazing. One Piece is the best anime ever, and this is Comfy Noodle slurping out.